Alright, so I love Blender. That's my tool of choice. But this is the first time I've ever worked with 4K footage. So I thought I would share a few things that, I'm learning as I go. Let's just open up Blender here. I recently shot my music video for S.O.B, Song of a Bitch, with a Sony FS7 in 4K using the XAVC Intra codec. And I wasn't sure if it worked in Blender or not, and sure enough it does, thank God. And I'll show you that it does. So let's grab some footage here. Let's grab that. So I throw in the MXF file. Ta-da! Isn't that beautiful? Footage! It's beautiful. So, the very first thing I wanted to do was file it away, right? If you look here, you can see I've got all my scenes filed, and if you look actually behind me, you can see I've got all my shots and scenes and everything organized. So, there's a couple of things that I learned about filing shit away. First of all, if I just open up the footage there, let me put a new folder in here. Let's just call it some bullshit. That is shot 60. Right there. If I move that, oh no, I can't because it's open in Blender, right? If I delete it out of Blender without having actually scrolled through the timeline or anything, watch this. It moves. Beautiful, right? However, as soon as I do anything to the footage, so let's throw it back into Blender. Ta-da! Now, let's say I scroll through the timeline, right? Okay, now, if I go back and I delete it out, there we are, and I delete it out, okay, and I go to file it, it's going to tell me that it's still being used in Blender. Won't let me do anything. So how do I get around that without closing Blender? It's actually pretty easy. What you do is you load in a different piece of footage. So let's say I'll throw this one in here. Okay? Now if I don't scroll, then it's no good, right? I still can't move this one, right? But which one is this? This is 153. Okay, if I just like touch it and scroll along like that, I still can't do it. But if I play it for a little bit.
Take one.
Okay, now when I go into my file and I go back here to my shot, look at this. Ta-da! I can move it all over. So that's going to be really handy if you're trying to file away any 4K footage. In this case, it's XAVC-I, Sony S.O.B. Another thing that you're going to find is you're going to want to use proxies. Because, look at this. Look how slow it is. Right. Even if I sync it, so if I go into AV Sync, yeah, she's synced. Okay. Look how low that frame rate is. It's like, what, 2.6, 2.7 frames per second? So in order to get around that, what you need to do is you need to make proxies. So, hello, why? Oh, that's why, because it wasn't selected. There we are. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll make a proxy with this clip. I'm just going to highlight the video, and then proxy timecode, check mark that. Per strip is fine, 25% is fine because it's 4K, so you want it to be rather small. Yeah, looks good. I don't need a timecode. Let's rebuild proxy. Okay, so you'll see now that it's building right here. It's going to take a couple of minutes. So we'll just let that process and I'll come back when it's done, okay? $8.99, 100%. All right. So what that has now done is, if we look in our files here, if I go into my footage, I wonder, is it in Mark Singing? Yeah, look, there's a BL proxy file, and in that it has created an AVI of 25%, right? Which is great. So what we have to do is we have to get the screen now to display it. So the proxy render size, you know what? First thing I gotta do is set selected strip proxies, set it to 25%. That is okay. And now scene render size, 25%. And you see how the quality changed? Right? So now, when I play it, it'll play in real time. Watch.
We're rolling. Take one.
Look at that. Isn't that awesome? Now, if you come out of it, so let's kill Blender. Right? So we've come out of it, but we already have the proxy built. So we open up Blender again, and we take a look. This is absolutely essential because otherwise it's impossible to look at 4K footage nicely. Okay, so let's open this back up. And that was 153, right? Let's look at the BL proxy. 153, there we go. So 153, I'll bring her back in here. The hell? The fuck? Why did it kill the video? That's not cool. Yeah, that's really, really weird. Okay, well, let's see what happens if I throw in another clip. Okay, that one's working fine. And then if I play it,
We're rolling camera.
And now let's get out of there. And then let's try to get back in. What the fuck? That makes no sense. That's really weird. See? I'm learning. I tell you, working with 4K footage is quite different than working with regular DSLR footage. It's a little more complicated. A little heavier on the system. There you go. I just saw something, I just found something new. That's really interesting. It's a little buggy, but Blender does play XAVC-I. You can work with it, and when it comes to filing, that's the big trick, is if you put the file in and you have to play it or scroll along, and then it's not letting you move it because it's saying that the file is still being used in Blender, throw a different file in, play it for a bit, and then you will be able to move the old one. So, which is extremely important because, I mean, if you look at all of my footage, just for the S.O.B video, like, look at all these shots. So, very important to be able to file your stuff away and to be able to do it quickly without having to close Blender and bring it back up. Let's see how editing this footage goes for me. I will keep you up to date with all kinds of tips and tricks and stuff that I encounter, because when I experience pain, I do my best to save you from experiencing the same pain. Okay, so it seems like I have some good news about that weird little bug thing that was going on. It looks like you can actually edit around it. So if I open up some footage, you know what, let's open up the same footage. Fuck it, 153, MXF. Okay, throw that in there. Everything looking good, right? We've got our video strip as well as our audio strip. Let's make a proxy. Waiting for my proxy. And it's done. Okay, so now we've got a proxy. Let us go into our screen preview, render, view settings, scene render size. Okay, if we bring that to our proxy size, 25%, and we play it.
We're rolling.
Everything is looking good, right?
Take one.
If I do a little editing, let's say I grab these puppies, and I grab them and I move them along there, and then maybe I'll put in like a soft cut there, and then I'll erase these, okay? So now, I've done a little edit.
Take one.
Seems to play okay. Alright. Which is pretty much what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be editing a whole bunch of different clips and such, right? Let's take that and let's save it. So I will save that as proxy test blend. I have another file. That's how I found out that this works. So we'll save as Blender file. Alright, boom. Get rid of that. Open Blender back up. Go in. Let's open up our proxy test blend. It's still there.
Take one.
And it's still using the proxy. So, if you put the footage into Blender and you edit it around and so on and you save it, then the proxy should still work. I mean, I'm still new to this, but this is just what I'm discovering as I go along, so hopefully this will help you out. I'll keep you informed. Alright. Cheers.